let's index this blueberry design. As you can see, this is a JPEG. I'm looking at the top of the tab here. It's RGB. So we're going to go to Image, down to Mode, over and down to Index Color, which is right above the RGB color choice. When we let go of that, we get the Index Color window, and it will have all kinds of different settings here, depending on what you were doing in Photoshop before. But what's really important is that we go to Local Perceptual right off the bat. That's the one to remember. And now we're going to look at our file, and we're just going to estimate how many colors might be in this file. Mine came up as 8 as a default. I'm actually going to put the preview on and change it to 9, just for kicks, just to change it. You want to have nothing forced. You want to have no dither, no transparency. None of these should have anything in them. And at this point, and this is the important part, you want to unclick, take the check mark off of preview. And we're doing that because that allows us to go down to custom, which is where we want to be to create and order our color table. So we're going to do that. And when we do that, it brings up our color table. And we'll just see what it looks like. So I'm going to now think about this color that when I had put it on preview before, it kind of went away. So I want to make sure that this color, which I'm calling kind of the berry nub, I don't know what you would call it, I'm just not sure. And again, you kind of have to look closely at your color table and at your image. It's always worth a shot just to try it. You can always delete a color out of your color table if you want to. I'm going to just make sure I've got that color because I'm not sure I had it before. I'm going to click on the last square that's available. My cursor turns into an eyedropper tool, and I'm going over and I'm clicking on that color that I want. I'm going to say OK on the color picker. And you know, maybe it was there, maybe it wasn't. I'm not sure. It doesn't really matter at this point. But now what we want to do is we want to absolutely organize our color table. So you have to do this now. You can't say OK and come back and do it later. You have to do it at this very moment. So the dark blue, which is the stems and the dark blue of this flower, looks like it's there. I'm going to make sure it is there. And then I'm going to pick the next color blue that I want. So I'm going to click on that second square, and I'm going to find that color in my design, and I'm going to click on it with my cursor. So I know that's the second to the darkest. I'm going to say OK. Now I'm in the third square from the left, and I want to pick that kind of medium blue, so I'm going to click there and say OK. Now there's the fourth square, so don't pay attention to what's in the square, just think about the order. Now I would click and get to that light blue color. So now we've gone from light blue, from dark blue to the lightest blue. I'm going to say OK. And at this point, I'm not sure that, I don't think there's any other colors in there. There's a little trick here that you can do. If this color, you can't figure out where it is in the file, sometimes you can just throw it into a really crazy color. And in this case, I'm not seeing it, and so I'm going to just say cancel. And I'm going to assume that this is now going to be the fifth color, and I think it should just be that salmon. It's not really a salmon, it's like a fleshy color of the petals. And I'm going to say OK. And really, that's only allowing me for one more color, the one next to it, which is the background, which is not white. So if I click here, and you want to always double check. It looks maybe on our computers like it's white, but it's a very, 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 very pale, pale, pale flesh color. Notice it's got a number down here, which means it is a color. You can tell it's a color, and we're going to say OK. And then all the rest of these colors, that are duplicates. We don't want them here because it's just going to confuse us when we put them in our color table. So what you do is you click on any of these ones. You can click and hold and drag to the right, which actually selects all of those squares that you just dragged across. You're going to want to go down to black, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, okay. And of course, now you're going to say okay. And now we've got the second row to deal with. Remember, the second row, the first square is always pure white. And that should be F, 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 F. And you say okay. And you click on that one, and it does default to black. We're going to say okay. And now we have ordered, though it looks funny, we have ordered our color table of this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 color design. Now it's going to say that we've got 18 colors in here because we've added these black ones, which we could call placeholders. If you wanted to add those as colors, you could. But right now they're not even being used on the file. And we're going to say okay. Now we don't have to say okay, because now if we say okay and we go back, we really didn't have to say okay. We could still go back to our color table. We're going to hit the save button, and we're going to name it Blueberry Act, which I've already done once, so I'm going to do it there, .act, and say save. I'm going to replace it just in case something changed, which probably didn't, and I'm going to say okay. Now at this point you would probably save as your file, save it as the index PSD. I always change I add the INDX to the file name so that I know when I'm going through my files what has been indexed and what hasn't. But just for time's sake, I'm going to go, and what we want to do is now load that blueberry.act into our old friend, the color tab. So the color tab is still indexed. It's still got the colors in it from before. I'm going to go down to the color table, and I'm going to load. So you hit the load button here, and there's my blueberry.act. I'm going to say open, and blammo, my six colors are in there in the order I wished, and I'm going to say okay, and I'm going to just Command A the whole thing, Command C to copy it. I'm going to go to my Blueberries index file. I'm going to make it longer by changing the height of the canvas to 11 inches. And actually I'm going to make it 12. I like a little more space. And then I'm just Command V, Control V. I've pasted my color tab in there. Now we don't need all that black, so we could delete that, but just so you can see it, the whole color tab is there. And that's what we want. So there you go. That's how you